chains are blowing, were they blowing all night long? Must have been my dearest, 'cause when I woke up in the morning, you were gone. I was coming home from vacation. The pilot was like, oh, we're coming into the city, and it was beautiful. I mean, the skyline, everyone on the plane but me gasped, and they were like making all these noises about how beautiful the skyline was. And it was the contrast between how I was feeling and how they were feeling that made me kind of see that, like, why am I not feeling that? I was living in New York City. I had my own place. I was working. Like, I couldn't find any reason in my present life to feel the way I was feeling. And so that dissonance every single day from that day on the plane didn't go away. And I could feel it for the first time, that there was a separation between like who I really was and something I was carrying around. I was just like, universe, please help me. And I never said that before. I was just literally, because I was exasperated. And then when that voice came and said, you never dealt with your father's death, I just was like, I hadn't thought about my father's death. I never talked about it, ever. And I think that made me realize like how much people can function without being present. He really wanted to use music as a way to connect all people. I used to go to his concerts because I was a kid and couldn't go to clubs where he played at night, just in the park. The image in my mind of him and the concerts that I saw and being out in the park with him and his band when I was a kid, the impression was that he was free. This is a little blurry, but this is little me. My mom, dad, and me, and a horse, I think at the Kansas City Zoo. It captures a very happy time, and I love having this picture. I don't know who took it, but it's pretty cool. I love my dad's socks and shorts. My mother said he made the shorts that day. He just cut them off. Recently, my mother was telling me how she told us and what happened that day. I left school, and everyone from my family was out there to meet us. He was killed at a World War II memorial. I didn't get to see his body. There was no open casket. Because of the way he was killed, it was closed. This was a brutal, brutal homicide. I couldn't do anything for him. And then after, I couldn't do anything for anyone. I just was too little. I couldn't help people, and I felt that people needed help. And no one around me having any sort of way to facilitate that or share with me how to do that, because they didn't know either. So we just never spoke about him, really. I mean, it was just something that we never talked about, that inner disappointment that came from not being able to comprehend what happened to him. And then just the pain of losing someone that you love so much. I think it created a real hopelessness in me. This is a picture of me in the same year that my father passed away, but this is before. This was a few months before, maybe. So he died in November, and this was May. And so this picture, when I look at it, it makes me feel like she's who I'm supporting. What I realized later is that what happened to me became who I was. This is my mom. It's my mother, and it's my mom, Roselle. Even in my relationship with my mother, over time and over conversations, her revealing to me that it's her job to kind of keep me on the ground and keeping us safe. That was so predominant in my environment, that this kind of holding myself back, keeping myself in, is it not safe to be free? Is that what happened to him? Is that what it's telling us? I feel like that's like my life challenge, my life path is like that challenge being set up for me to overcome the mental parameters that they're only mental. When I first started my healing journey, when I was in my early 20s, my father's mother came to me in a dream and said, "Who's handling the parole hearings?" I had never, ever thought about the parole hearings at all. I can't remember how I found the number to the Department of Justice. I called, and there was a parole hearing happening in 2 weeks in Leavenworth, Kansas, where the assailant was at that time. And so I got a ticket and went and testified. And I wanted to meet him. I probably wasn't ready, but I wanted to, and the warden wouldn't let me. She said that he doesn't deserve to be in the same space with you. At that time, he was very involved in, white supremacist activity in the prison. The writing I had to do every couple years for the parole hearing. I started to have a certain type of relationship with him, and I really couldn't find hate for him. I started to see that this person made some very poor choices in a moment that could have ended up one way or another. I very much believe that, he's a human being who has the ability to get to a place where he can heal and acknowledge what he's done, but he hasn't done that yet. This is my brother and me. This is a picture of when we were kids. I feel like he helped me survive just by being someone who understood. A&E Network did a show and they did an episode about my dad's death. And when they asked me how I felt, it was the first time anyone had asked me how I felt, really, about what happened, almost 15, 17 years later, and just saying how I felt. I could feel the relief in saying it. And when I saw the show, they showed a picture of my father's body in one of the scenes. And I felt relief. I was surprised I felt relief. My brother said he felt relief. And the people who were watching it with me, they were like, "Oh my God, that's so horrible." But I was like, I never saw his body again. So just seeing his body again made it real for me. Practices that I have, the yoga, meditation especially, journaling, those things help me to get present and bring all of the aspects of myself together and just flow in that space. This is a picture of a bodhisattva. I'm not a Buddhist, but it's an image, a statue my mother bought for me that for me represents the sweetness, peace of just surrendering. One of the signs of pain is that you're just drawing too many conclusions about what's happened to you, about what it means. And the conclusions you've drawn are shutting you off from the possibilities that exist. I think the Tibetan Book of the Dead was the first time I saw a culture that had a ritual that handled death like it's a part of life and it's a transition. And let's help this person through that transition. And so help me start to shift the way I was seeing it from just like what happened to me. It happened to him. He went through this challenging thing, and that this transition was a transition we would all go through. It was a very short segment of my dream. My dad just came in the dream and just embraced me. I was me, but I was also little me. It's hard to describe. It was just so bright. Like I felt all of his light. And it's like, this is all I wanted. I just wanted to say goodbye to you. I think that what I've been doing in healing is getting integrity back and understanding the building blocks of how people form identities, because I have to work at it in a way, which is that touching that essence of who you are and then understanding how to let it flow. My suffering has helped me develop empathy. Everyone's walking around with their own experience of something traumatic, something that rock their world and is shifting their worldview or shaping their worldview in a way that might be putting them at a disadvantage of how beautiful and fulfilling their lives could be. The difficulty I have now, I'm in some situations where I'm like, why am I in this? And when I tune in, you know, my soul's like, you're here to learn unconditional love. If you can't love your life right now, you haven't gotten there yet.